everybody, it's your girl Jazzy Bell, and you are listening to Woman in Hip Hop Podcast. And on this show, we focus on the many talents and influences from women in hip hop. And today, I'm so excited. I have a special guest here with me. She is the moderator and host of Everyday Struggle on Complex. It's literally my favorite show out right now.
I'm so glad you like it. I'm so glad. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, we have Nadeska in the building. What's up, Nadeska? Now, is it Nadeska Alexis, right?
Yes.
Nadeska Alexis.
I know it's ridiculous. Thank you. People always think Alexis is actually my first name, which makes sense, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's just me, Nadeska, yeah.
Okay. Now, I love the name. I didn't know if you had, put it together or if you was going to do, your Madonna thing.
Do you think I should? Should I just be Nadeska?
I like Nadeska.
Okay, maybe I should do, because there's not too many Nadeskas in the world. Okay, let's
You know another one?
Actually, a friend overseas just named their baby Nadeska.
After you?
They asked permission and everything.
Are you kidding
Which was really sweet of them. I'm like, that kid's gonna have a weird life now because of this strange name. But of course, you have my blessing.
Yes, and you said it was a friend of yours.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But they had to ask permission, so it's in Germany. So here, you can name your child whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
In Grenada as well, where I grew up. In Germany, you have to prove that this name is a real name that exists. That it's not something strange. So I had to send copies of my passport to prove that Nadeska was a real name.
Are you kidding?
Can you imagine someone telling your mom that?
Yes.
Can you please prove that this is a name that already exists?
But what proof do you need that somebody else had it prior to this child?
Yeah.
Really? Then that's proof alone. So I can't just wake up and name my child Bathtub.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to prevent. Strange names like Apple, which celebrities do here. Which I guess I respect it.
Okay. All right, Germany. Glad I'm not out there. Now, speaking of Grenada, because you just mentioned it, now what I do like to do on this show is to kind of give my listeners a backstory as to how you became this media darling that you are today.
Darling.
Darling. So if you can, please just elaborate on your upbringing in Grenada and your family and all of that.
So yeah, I'm originally from Grenada, so I moved to Brooklyn when I was 10. And Grenada is a tiny island. A lot of people I meet don't even know where it is. So it's in the Caribbean if you have never heard of Grenada. I don't know, a very peaceful childhood. It couldn't be more different from New York. I come from a huge family. My mom was a nurse. I grew up with one other sister. So it was like, my mom has a twin who was also a teacher. So I think from a young age, both she and my mom were super strict about education, and her being a teacher especially, she wanted me to read a lot. So I started reading a lot when I was younger, and I think that's where I really got into just wanting to write in general. So that's where it began. But yeah, so we moved to Brooklyn when I was 10. We moved to Flatbush, and I really hated it.
Really? Why?
It's just hard when you come from a beautiful tropical island where you run around and play in flip-flops with all of your cousins, and then all of a sudden
You playing the racks.
yeah, exactly. It's 30 degrees outside and you're trying to figure out what a bubble jacket is. It's all very confusing, but I adjusted. I do love Brooklyn now.
So you're still in Brooklyn?
I am. Now I'm in downtown Brooklyn, so I live pretty close to Brooklyn Tech where I went to high school, and it's so crazy how much the neighborhood has changed. At that point it was just like delis. All you could ever get in the neighborhood is a bacon, egg, and cheese.
Right.
Now there's an Apple store down the block. It's very confusing.
Yeah, I mean, that's gentrification. That's what you call it. Yeah. Now, talk to me about I know you said, well, what got you into writing? Did you say? Because I'm trying to figure out, because you're so involved in the hip hop culture, in the music scene. So what was it like out there in Grenada, the hip hop scene? Was there a hip hop scene?
Yeah, not really. So definitely, of course, our local music, it's reggae and soca, right? So that's what all of my family listened to. So my first exposure to hip hop actually came through my cousins. I had a lot of older boy cousins.
Okay.
So I remember them watching BT when I was younger. You know what I mean? So I remember seeing like Pac and Snoop on BT for the first time. And Snoop I remember vividly because I was so terrified of him when I was a kid. Because him morphing into a dog in the video, I was just at an age where I was very confused, and something about him was very terrifying. So yeah, that was the very, very first time I
funny
heard
thing is,
that music.
I get that. I totally get that. I was afraid of Thriller, Michael Jackson.
Terrifying when you're a kid.
Turned into a wolf.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Yeah, I was stunned. But that was the very first time I heard hip-hop in general. And my mom is very, very strict, so there was no way for me to access that music unless I was with my cousins and I got to watch TV with them. So eventually when I got to the States, of course, especially going to junior high school and high school in Flatbush and Crown Heights, you know what I mean? All we listened to is hip hop. That was when we would run home and record Hot 97 because that was the only way to get the songs, you know what I mean?
Yes, I remember.
Before CDs came along, and then that was the next step. So in high school, it was the same thing. I was an English major. I just really always loved writing, and so I think eventually it made sense that music and writing sort of came together for me.
When did you know at that point that you was going to blend the two? At what age or what time do you recall saying, I love writing, I have a knack for it, I'm going to blend this with hip hop?
I think in college I was getting closer to figuring it out, but I still wasn't 100% sure. So I did a couple of internships. I went to college upstate, which was challenging. In retrospect, staying in the city would have made sense because all of media is here, but it's okay, Nadeska, mistakes happen. So while I was...
What was the name of the school upstate?
Binghamton, SUNY Binghamton.
Okay.
So while I was up there, yeah, I would do summer internships, but it's really hard to get a music internship. I probably applied to Complex 50 times.
Ooh.
To be a writer, to be an intern, never got a response. You know what I mean? So I ended up interning at Hearst, random places, Red Book magazine, I did a Teen Vogue internship, just anywhere I could get my foot in the door to get some experience, to build my resume. And then eventually, the first real music experience I got, I was interning for Black Book magazine.
Okay, what's that?
So they did a lot of nightlife, a lot of more alternative music coverage, hotels, travel, that kind of thing.
Like lifestyle?
Exactly.
Okay.
But there was a space for music. It's just that they weren't necessarily covering much hip hop at the time, so that really gave me an opportunity to start covering artists like people like Kid Cudi and Wale and J. Cole, who they were so new in the game. They didn't have projects out yet, you know what I mean? It wasn't impossible to get them. J. Cole wouldn't only do interviews for HBO. So I was able to get access to those artists, and that's where I got my very first experience really doing like musician interviews.
And how did you curate that for Black Book magazine? The whole music aspect of it, since they wasn't really involved in that.
So I would just pitch a lot of artists, and usually they'd be like, whatever, intern, go ahead and do this.
Wow, that's commendable.
You know,
you saw a void.
Yeah.
And you pretty much let
I was like,
them
this
know.
is passionate about it. If I'm passionate about this, if I have to blog every day, it's probably going to be about rap. So I just kept pitching and pitching. And eventually I did get a job there full time, which is nice. So all of that interning experience worked out in the end.
How long did you intern before you actually got the job there?
Well, so
inspire these interns out here, because people, I feel like now, I don't know, the millennials, the real younger ones, because I guess I'm still in that bracket, they like to intern, but I feel like some are just like, I want to be my own boss, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I feel like they're missing out on the experience of just interning.
It's weird because people always ask me for advice, and it's hard to give advice specifically tailored to you, right? You're always going to have your own path, but I think interning is such invaluable experience. And look, it's different. When I was an intern, I was not getting paid. These days we're paying interns. So like it's not terrible. But it's really the best way to get hands-on experience. Like I know some people still go to grad school for journalism. At this point, I don't know that I think that's worth it. I think you can get more value out of doing several internships. You get hands-on experience, and if you do a good job, and we are paying attention, I think some interns think we're not paying attention. When you do a great job, we notice. So when there's a job opening, we don't want to post it on the internet and get 1,000 unqualified applicants. We're going to reach out to you because we knew you did a great job as an intern. So I absolutely think it's still important and can be helpful.
So Black Book magazine, eventually you got to working with Sway.
Yeah,
I know you was doing AOL music, so just tell me how you got to Complex.
Okay.
Because you had prior jobs to that.
Yeah, I did.
I don't want people to think that you just fell out of
a lot of people
thin air.
A lot of people think I fell out of thin air.
But it's my fault.
Yeah,
that's what this is about.
Me here.
Yes.
So yeah, out of college. So yeah, my first full-time thing was I was writing for the Boombox, AOL's hip hop blog.
Okay.
So I was writing for them daily, 3 to 4 articles, like daily news. And eventually they let me do interviews as well. So I did some Q&As with people like Pharrell, some in-studio stuff with people like J. Cole. So I think I did that for about 2 years. So that daily blogging really helped me just become a little bit sharper. You know, when you start out, you're nervous. It might take you like an hour to write one post. After 2 years, in like 10 minutes, I can knock out 250 words and it's done, you know?
Nice.
So that was a lot of good experience, and I was able to travel while I did it since it was freelance. So I went to Asia for 3 months while still writing, and then when I came back, Black Book hired me full-time. So I was there for a year as an editorial assistant and then assistant editor.
AOL Boombox.
Yeah, so from AOL freelancing full-time to being like staff in office at Black Book for a full year. And after that was MTV News.
How did you get to MTV News?
So after that year full-time at Black Book and all the interning I'd done, I had a lot of clips, and I'd been at that point literally blogging every day for 2 years. So with daily news I was pretty good. I had great clips to show. And a friend I knew from high school was interning in production at MTV, and he knew they were looking for an editor for their hip-hop blog called Rap Fix.
Yes.
So he recommended me for the interview. So I went up, did the interview, and I was terrified.
Who did you interview with?
Ramon Dukes, who now is over at
Revolt.
Yeah, I love Ramon.
Yes.
I love Ramon. He took a big chance on me, and like it paid off. So
I know you were like a nervous wreck.
I was terrified. I'm
only assuming, but I felt like in some interviews you could tell, I got this.
That was one.
You wouldn't feel like
I was terrified. I went in there, I was like, let me sit up straight and put on my best confident face. But no, there's no way. It was MTV. I grew up on TRL. I remember standing outside of that studio all the time waiting for artists to show up. So to get to walk into that building, I definitely stood outside and took a deep breath and just said, don't fuck this up. That's what I always tell myself before something important, don't fuck this up. So no, I went in there and I did my best, and they did hire me to be the editor of their blog, and I was like stunned because at that point I had been an assistant editor, so I was always helping out the people above me. I had never managed a team before, and so starting at MTV, that was the first time I got into really a management role.
How long ago was that?
So I was at MTV from I believe late 2011 to early 2015, so a full 4 years. And I got a ton of experience. That's really where I got the most experience, to be honest. So I started, managing the blog, and eventually when they folded into mtvnews.com, I was just a full-time staff writer. So I was again like writing every single day, doing a ton of artist interviews, and MTV did a lot of video. So that's where I also started to learn production for the first time. So we would do the interview on video. I wasn't on camera at first, behind the scenes. Then, we'd highlight the best bites, we'd cut up the video, we'd write the article, we'd publish it. So I really got to really see it through from start to finish. So it was just an incredible, incredible training ground for me there.
Yeah. Now, when you did production, what did that all entail, just for people to know? Because it's like, you mentioned the video, editing the sound bites, and getting the clips. You were in control of all of that?
Yeah, and the MTV News Hip Hop team was very small, especially at the time that I was there. So let's say an artist, I'll pick a random person, like J. Cole came in for some reason, so then of course you prep the questions that you want, you'll talk it over with your team where you want the interview to go, and then they'll help you set up the room, how you want the interview to look and feel, and of course when it's done you want to sit down and watch all of the footage. At that point we weren't putting out a ton of full-length interviews like we do now in Everyday Struggle, for example.
Right.
They always wanted to highlight the best part. Right. So it was about sitting with editors, figuring out the best clips, how they would work together, approving the final product with your higher-ups, and then like writing the article to go with it, etc. So,
do you know how to edit and all that yourself?
Video?
Yeah.
No, I wish. I want to.
Oh, okay.
It's on my list of things to do.
It's worth it. For me, like I have equipment that we're recording with right now. Like all that is mine, but I hate working the equipment. I'm more of an editor. Like I like to really do like Final Cut and do all that.
Did you teach yourself or you took classes?
I took classes.
I need to do that.
Yeah. With all the intentions of being in front of the camera, but I was like, you know what? Once I started taking these classes, I really enjoy the editing process, and it helps when people flake on you. And you're like, fucking, I edit the shit myself. I don't want to, but I'm gonna edit myself.
I think that's a good skill to have.
Yes. So in media, who are some of the people prior to you doing your thing that inspired you? Men or women, it doesn't matter.
Both, right? Obviously, someone like Sway, and so getting to work with him was just unbelievable. Angie Martinez, Oprah, and then people even like Diane Sawyers and Barbara Walters. Like I look at people like that and it's so incredible. I think there's space for different personalities in this game, and so on Everyday Struggle sometimes the guys are like, come on, why don't you jump out the window with us, why don't you? I'm like, look guys, that's not my personality. It's never who I've been, and I don't think I have to be that person to be successful. You guys do that and you do it great. I'm just more interested in like watching the way Sway can handle an interview is really incredible. Like he can make people feel so comfortable and get them to open up about things they would be so nervous talking about with anyone else. And same with people like Barbara Walters or obviously an Oprah. And I really, really do admire people like that. I think it's a talent being able to listen and really try to get to know someone and make them comfortable.
Yeah, I agree with you on that because when starting this podcast, I said, okay, what's going to be like my thing? What is going to be? And for me, I was like, I want to be the hip hop Barbara Walters. Both. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you said her, I'm like, you get it.
We need that. We need that.
That balance.
Because sometimes it feels like there's not a safe space where you can just go to have a conversation without feeling like you're gonna get attacked, and I think people always deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're doing it.
So yeah, definitely with them two, I can see you in a space where it's like, let me hold down what I do.
Yeah, like there's no reason to switch up now.
Now we talked about Sway, we talked about who inspired you. Now, Complex. In the past, you said you probably applied 50 times.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it that finally got you through that door as being their news anchor?
So one day, Noah Callahan Bever, so our editor-in-chief, or as of today, our former editor-in-chief, because he's leaving, heading over to Def Jam, big congratulations to him. He reached out on Twitter, I believe, or maybe someone I knew at Complex said he was trying to get in touch. So basically he took me out to lunch. It was pretty unexpected. He said he had just heard good things about me from his staff, and he had seen an interview I did with A$AP Rocky at South by Southwest that year. And it's so crazy that that's what led to the moment. So that interview came about very randomly. And
what was it about that interview? What happened?
He ended up talking about yams. It was right after, shortly after he had died, and Rocky had never really addressed it yet, and the reports had just come out confirming how he had passed away. Mm-hmm. And so I walked into that interview not even really intending to touch on that. We just talked about music because he hadn't had an album out in a little bit, but the interview did get there. So it was a lot of ups and downs. There were points where we were laughing and having a good time. He talked about his breakup, and then he talked about yams and how he passed away. And it was like a difficult interview in that.
Did you go in with that information knowing that it just came out as to what happened to yams? Were you informed?
Yeah, the crazy thing is I was walking into the house where we did the interview and just sort of scrolling through Twitter and had saw that 5 minutes before the report had come out. And I was shocked. And again, this is a situation that's so delicate because you lost a friend and a brother, and that's never something that you want to exploit or anything like that. So I wanted to broach that very delicately, but I think he felt comfortable in that space, and I'd interviewed him a couple times before. So he really opened up, and so yes, I guess they saw that interview, and so he wanted to meet me after that. So he said, I just wanted to know a little bit more about you, what you're doing at MTV News, what your goals are, tell you what we're doing here at Complex, and see if that really aligns. So it was a nice conversation. And he said, okay, so I'll talk to my team, we'll touch base later. At that point, I wasn't sure if anything would come of it, but we did talk a few more times. I eventually went in for an audition. I had to interview him.
Audition?
Yeah, I had to interview him on camera as an audition.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, which I'd never had to do before. Because at that point at MTV, in my head, I was still very much a writer. The on-camera thing is something Sway pushed me to do, and I was very, very reluctant about it. Because I was very shy and very reserved as a kid, so being on camera was never something that, to this day, I'm still pretty uncomfortable with it.
Really?
Yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange.
I could sense it a little bit.
Yeah.
But just know you're safe here. Wait, real quick. So Sway advised you to be more on camera. Who was your first interview on camera?
Oh, wow. That's such a good question. Why don't I know the answer to that? Yikes. I'm not sure what my very first one was.
It was the one that bust your cherry.
Oh man, how do I not know that? That's so bad. That's so bad. I really can't remember the first one and at what time it had come, because I worked there for a full year and I believe most of them were off camera.
Okay.
And so it was doing Rap Fix Live at the time. It was airing on MTV Jam. So I remember them asking or suggesting that I be on the show. I could do social media, so check in with the fans and ask artists questions. So that was definitely, that I remember being on camera for the first time because I was terrified, because it was also live TV and I had no real training. I was not comfortable on camera, so I definitely wanted to throw up before the first few episodes, but I think eventually I got over it. But I'm gonna have to go figure out what my very first on-camera interview was. I should know that.
What was the best advice, though, now that we on Sway, back on him, that he gave you?
I think from Sway it was less advice, because he gives you so many gems on dealing with a lot of things behind the scenes, politics, how to handle artists and stuff. It was more about watching the way that he moves. Sway is successful and he's legendary, and yet when he walks into a room, he's always the warmest person in the room.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So
he makes everyone feel special, and he'll give you one-on-one time, and he'll take the time to understand you, see how your day is, and he treated everyone at MTV the same way. So I don't know, just watching the way he moved, I learned more than I could ever really explain.
Yeah.
He's really incredible. He's a rare person.
Now tell me about this audition process, child. I need to know how this went down. This is interesting.
Okay, well, you embody this audition, by the way.
Why would you say that?
Well, look what you're doing right now.
Oh, okay.
You're really good at it. It was very much this. No, they just really had me go into a conference room, sit down, and interview Noah on camera. And I was definitely nervous, but it was also cool because there's a lot of stuff I had wanted to ask him because I grew up reading Complex, you know what I mean? Like, all those times I was trying to get in the building, was reading his cover stories for Complex, like the one with Kanye when Dark Twisted Fantasy dropped. Like, I had read and followed all of that work, so there were a lot of questions I genuinely wanted to ask, so I just was myself, and I did that, and apparently it worked out okay.
How many people do you know you beat for that position?
I have no idea.
He didn't tell you? Okay, was it one of those stages? I was like, okay, you went through round 1 and then you went through round 2. Was it one of those like come back for the second round?
It's weird. No, so the meetings were very spread out. So say the first one was in the spring, one happened in late August, the other one happened in October. Because it was also, I know it was very busy. It was like VMA season for me, so there'd be points where they would reach out, I couldn't make it, and vice versa. So it took a long time in between the meetings. And then once I did the audition, I think he made me an offer the same day.
Oh wow!
Or very shortly after. Like, as soon as I got back to my office at MTV, he emailed me like, hey, can we get on the phone and talk? So that was nice. I was surprised that they were that impressed.
You bodied it.
Because you know how it is, you're always, or at least me, you're always like doubting yourself, or always thinking about the things you could have done better, or that kind of stuff. But I guess externally it looked fine. Although I've never seen the tape. I still haven't seen that. I don't know.
Once you got in there, you supposed to be like, yo, well, let me see it.
Let me see that. She got a copy of that. Another thing I have to ask for. Okay.
Okay, so that's how you got the job. You auditioned with him 101. Now you're in there, and you're in there as their on-air personality?
Yeah, so Complex has a few news anchors, and they hired me to, be their lead anchor. It was going into election season, and so they wanted to do election coverage and all of that, so that would be part of my job. And I also had to manage all of the other anchors, and then day-to-day content for the Complex News YouTube channel. So that's everything from approving the stories that the anchors would pitch. When they write the script, I would have to edit it and send back the final version. Check out the video when it goes up to make sure there are no errors, make sure the YouTube page is looking clean, approve interviews, just really day-to-day editorial stuff. So on a larger scale, basically, of what I was doing at MTV. Because MTV, it's such a big company, Viacom, it's been around for so long. Complex is a lot younger and newer, and so the energy is different. Complex moves 10 times as fast at MTV News. So when I got there, I was stunned. We were producing, I feel like, at least 10 videos a day. At MTV, it was nothing close to that. It was much more like, we take our time, we put out less content that's, you know what I mean? So
was that exciting for you?
It was exciting, but it was extremely overwhelming. It was a lot, adjusting to a brand new job after having built a family at MTV News, trying to get to know everyone, and also managing your peers is also weird,
I could imagine.
Yeah, not the easiest situation. And then traveling a ton. We traveled so much that year because of the election coverage. I believe my very first week was one of the first debates in South Carolina. So I survived my first week. I'm super relieved. I'm like, all right, I made it. I don't think I fucked anything up. I didn't do anything terrible.
Now this past election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is 2016, like January 2016.
Yeah.
Google calls and they're like, hey, we would love to partner with you guys on the election. We would love to fly you down to South Carolina to cover the debate. So my first week, all of a sudden, I'm on the ground in South Carolina doing live streams about politics. I was terrified, again, because I've been covering music for so long. I'm not a political expert, but my bosses really wanted to cover the election from our perspective. They thought it was really important. So it was a very, very long year. I feel like I was on a flight every other week. So doing that and having to manage a team and then still think about my on-camera presence is a lot.
Sounds overwhelming.
Yeah, but I guess that's how you grow and that's how you learn, right?
Yeah.
It was definitely a lot. I would not relive that year again.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
I just got so many questions about that, but I kind of want to bring it to to my favorite show that's out right now. I'm a huge fan of all three of y'all. I knew Joey for a while, at least over 10 years, I would say, just from the whole music scene and rapper.
You know all the stories, it sounds like. Over 10 years? That's awesome.
Over 10 years. It hasn't been like, we ain't been like joined by the hip, but you know what I mean, just within the same industry, being on set together, and him just being a real cool stand-up guy. And I appreciate him linking this up, so shout out to Joey, because I wanted you on the show, and he made it happen for me. Talk to me about Everyday Struggle and how this journey has been for you so far.
Yeah, what a ride it's been. So Joe, I guess I've met Joe over the years, right, working at MTV, because we've done Slaughterhouse interviews but never knew each other. So I guess I really met him for the first time last summer. The day of the VMAs in 2016, we went skydiving. He was dropping his yeah, I know, right? Very random.
Complex had you go through the ringer, child.
Yes, everything from election.
It has been non-stop with you and Complex.
Yeah, it's really been a journey, man. Sometimes I think I'm making this stuff up.
The word and the way you just like explaining it is just so nonchalant. So yeah, I got there, and then was on the plane. I was here and there every day covering this, and then we went skydiving. And
I do like doing crazy things like skydiving. I love adventures. You notice they make fun of me on the show. If I ever am in nature or do anything fun, they clown me. But look, it's fun. I love adventures. But so yeah, he was releasing his last album, and he wanted to do something a little different for promo. So they suggested this. I was like, yeah, why not? Cool. So we woke up super early, went to Jersey at like 5, 6 a.m., picked him up, and so me and our head of production for Complex News spent the entire day with Joe. What a trip, you know what I mean? Like,
how was that?
You know, he's such a character. It was the first time getting to know him. He was like super sick, so he's waking up, he's pissed at his manager that it's this early, but he was really great.
What year was this?
This was last year.
This was just last year?
Last August. This video is on YouTube. You have to check it out later.
Oh my God, I didn't see this.
This is very, very recent.
So this is before Everyday Struggle?
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
So this is how we first started talking, but we joke about it a lot of time. A lot of that day he spent just telling me how much he hated Complex. Some artists don't like the brand. Sometimes they see articles that offend them. You know, that happens, but sometimes they make up. It comes and goes. And so he was airing out all of his issues with Complex and, you know, lumping it with the whole company. I'm like, look, I understand you have some issues, but there are cool people at Complex, even if you've seen articles in the past that you didn't like. So I think after that whole day with me and my production manager, he sort of warmed up to the brand a little bit more.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we just sort of kept in touch. If he was ever in the neighborhood for meetings or something, he would come up and like say hi really quickly. And then I think conversations for Everyday Struggle started early 2017. Right? So we launched in April. Yeah, so it started earlier in the year, and I wasn't initially involved. I don't know why I can't speak tonight. I'm sorry. I took a nap, and I'm still struggling with my words. Yeah, I was not involved in the initial round of meetings. Noah was actually gonna be the moderator, and I was only really confirmed to be on the show the Thursday before it launched the next Monday.
Noah was your boss.
Yeah,
that gave you the job.
Yeah, so we both auditioned for the role of moderator. But again,
Who
I told
you were auditioning to if he was the one?
The head of our video department. Since Noah was really the head of like editorial content.
Got it.
I know that's like a little bit confusing, but it's basically
interesting backstory though.
Maybe audition's not the word. We both tested
the guy that hired
role.
you. The guy that hired you. You were up against him to be the moderator. Okay.
I mean,
how did that go? I mean, clearly you got the job, but how did that go between you and Noah? It's his name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine. We didn't talk too much about it, not necessarily. I think he started doing the screen test first, and I probably started about a week before the show launch. So it was fine. I think eventually it worked itself out. But I don't know. But yeah, it was very last minute, just because things move super fast at Complex. So I think maybe other people would have been like, all right, it's time to go out and fix my hair and buy a whole new wardrobe, etc. I was like, all right, it's Thursday and I'm on Monday. I guess it was that
fast for you?
Button. Yeah.
Wow.
It was like that last minute that I was confirmed to be on the show. If you look at the original article that was published on complex.com, it still says that Noah is the moderator, I believe. And so there's a point where we discussed even rotating the role of moderator. Like maybe I would do a couple episodes, he would do a couple. But yeah, in retrospect, that probably would have been really difficult to pull off.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And then, found out I was going to be on it. So then one day I woke up, I got on the train at 5 a.m., and that's how the story began.
But it was basically right away, like overnight. Like, you weren't involved in the creative process of how Everyday Struggle came about.
Yeah, because at first I was just not ever a part of the plan, you know?
But did you hear about the plans?
Oh yeah, I heard. I knew it was coming, and because I knew Joe and we were like cool, he was keeping me in the loop. Like before, I believe he came up for one of the very first meetings, or after his meeting, we went across the street and like had some food, and he was like explaining what's going on. Because at that point, he was still focused on finding the next host. Like Akademiks also wasn't in the picture yet. So I guess I was part of the conversations there. Yeah, no. And so at that point, Joe was like, no one had met Akademiks yet. You know, we'd seen he had such a big YouTube presence, we know his voice, but we had never seen him in real life. So I remember eating French fries and us being like, man, what is Akademiks gonna be like? So that was like the first time we really started talking about it. But yeah, at that point I still was not the moderator at all.
Now, prior to you meeting with Joe, the people over at Complex already expressed about doing the Everyday Struggle with Joe. Was Joe always the main component when it came to this show? They knew they wanted him? Like, was this show created for Joe Budden?
Yeah, so that's something honestly you would really have to ask Joe, since I was in there for the very initial conversations. I know Elliot Wilson was involved in like initial talks, and then
yeah, he did.
It came to Complex and like Noah, and then you know what I mean. So I'm not exactly sure where it started, so I wouldn't want to give any
false
information. I'm not going to be that one here. I'm going to leave that to Joe. He's great at that. He delivers it with such charisma that it works, even if it's not true.
Even if it's not true.
Stick with it, man.
What has been an everyday struggle for you on Everyday Struggle?
Every single part of it has been an everyday struggle. From the morning commute, boy, I am not a morning person. I get all my best work done when the rest of the world is sleeping.
Me too.
So having to wake up at 5 a.m., like what are we, 8 months in? I'm like used to it. My body's now on this cycle, but I still hate it. It's hard for me to have a social life now. I'm exhausted by like 5 o'clock. So yeah, getting there that early. Also doing hair and makeup myself. I'm a pretty low maintenance person, like very chill. You notice Joe makes fun of me, like you never wear girl clothes, you never this and that. I'm like very relaxed.
You never wear girl clothes.
Whatever that means.
I know what you mean, but clearly you wear women clothing.
Not womanly enough for, you know what I mean.
Exactly. So hilarious.
So yeah, that getting there in the morning, the whole hair and makeup process, like doing hair and makeup for on camera. There's some days where I just can't. People hit me like, oh my God, can someone help this girl? Her left eyebrow today is all. I'm just like, you know what? You're right. You're right. I was really tired this morning. I had my coffee. It didn't work while I was doing my makeup today. So
you prefer to do it yourself, or you guys don't have a glass squad?
I definitely do not prefer. What? No way. I hate.
You guys don't have hair and makeup there?
No. This is one of those things, man. People make all of those assumptions. We are such like complex, and part of what makes it great sometimes is it sort of feels like a startup. Like we've been doing video for a few years right now, but we're not like at a Viacom level, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're still very much like feeling our way through. So I don't know what people think is glamorous about my job, like, but it's not. It literally is me getting up at 5 a.m., getting to the office at 6, and I spend 30 minutes in the women's bathroom doing hair and makeup in dim lighting, just so when I come out, Joe can be like, Nadeska's always late. No, Nadeska is here. She just has to like fix her hair and face. I'm sorry, women have to do that. So
it takes time, darling.
Yeah, and then you know after that we'll usually have our little pre-production meetings. But again, that's what does that mean with like a Joe Budden? It depends on the morning. You know what I mean? Sometimes we'll actually like talk about it, or sometimes Joe will just be like, I don't care about any of this. I'll figure out when it's on set. So like. Every day it's just like, you never know with these two guys. They have huge personalities both on and off camera.
That being a fellow woman in media, when I watch it in the beginning, I was telling Joe this on Woman in Hip Hop podcast when he was a guest. I was like, I like Nadeska, but I want her to talk more. And I don't know if you read the comments, but do you read the comments? That's a whole other story.
Yeah, we'll get to those.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And it's funny, but as I continue to watch the show, I felt like you've become more verbal. Were you, I guess, cognizant of that? Did you feel like you didn't have a voice so much on that show?
Yeah.
And pretty much explain what it all entailed for you to be a moderator. Well, did they tell you they pretty much just want you to moderate and not give much input?
Right. To be honest, there wasn't like a ton of instruction at first, and then as the show started, especially people in the building will give me tidbits. So you should talk more. you could shut them down sometimes, you could do this or that, but yeah, there was no very clear instruction, and it was just really difficult. You know, I think,
Explain.
I saw a lot of those comments, people being like, this girl's an idiot, where did she come from, why she's here, sitting around, just not talking, and I understand all those. I get a lot of that. A lot of people still, to this day, I had someone hit me out 3 weeks ago, and it always confuses me when people do this. Basically, he was saying like, look, I'm so proud of you, you're on this show, but man, the hate is real out here. I'm like, what does that mean? And he's like, yeah, all my friends just think you have no idea what you're talking about. They think you know nothing about hip hop. But like, I've literally put in like 9 or 10 years. So like, I know what I'm doing. I've met more of these artists and interviewed them than Joe has. You know what I mean? That's why I can give him feedback when we're picking. But I'm in a space where I'm sitting. I'm used to, again, doing interviews. I like to listen to people, learn about them. I'm sitting between two very loud theatrical men. Joe is a performer. He went through love and hip hop. Ak has this YouTube channel where it's just him getting drunk in his basement, screaming into the, you know, the screen, and his fans loving him, whatever. And like, it's just not me. So of course, adjusting to that on camera is hard. There are points where I'll try to talk and they'll scream over me. You think it's easy to out-scream Joe Budden? Like, serious question.
Hell no.
Okay, so
I would probably give him some competition.
I can't even get close. So trying to scream over both of them, just fighting to get a chance to speak, of course it's very frustrating, you know, but it has gotten better as we've gotten used to each other. And again, that's one of the hard parts. Like, it's like having 2 new coworkers and developing chemistry and getting to know each other with the whole world watching and picking you apart. Every single thing. It could be a Monday where we're just tired. Like sometimes you just have those days where you're a little sluggish. Oh boy, the storylines. Oh man, Nadeska must have really done something to piss Joe off today because this, you know what I mean? Like it definitely, it's like a lot. People
it's unfolding in front of us.
Yeah.
Like as we're watching it, you guys are learning each other.
Exactly. And so
and we don't know that.
Right. Imagine what it feels like to be the person who's like, yeah, you're getting to know these people, you're doing a job you've never done before, and moderating these 2 difficult personalities, and I love those guys, but like it's not easy sometimes. And plus the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, like people seem to think that the hour that you watch the show is all of it. No, like there's stuff before and after, like the whole Migos thing that happened. I knew it was like super fun for everyone to watch, but you wouldn't believe the bullshit that went on behind the scenes and how stressful that was. So it's been a very like, it's been great. It's been great to grow with them. They're like family now, but it's been a very, very difficult year. It's been like ups and downs, and this year I learned how much people love to hate other people.
Yeah.
Like I sit between these 2 guys, and there's some people who hate me so passionately that they'll make multiple accounts to like say awful shit to me all day, and if eventually I block them, they'll get pissed and make more. I'm like, really? What is it that I'm doing that's so deeply offensive to you? It's very interesting. I've learned a lot this year.
And what was your answer to yourself when you asked yourself that? I could give you an answer real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to...
They wish they were fucking you. Like, they wish they were you. They wish they was in that position. Because, again, like I said, it's literally my favorite show to watch on the internet. And I think when people see you, they wish they can fulfill those shoes instead of just appreciating what you bring to the table. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's just such, you know,
maybe it's that because it's such a popular show.
Yeah, it's a hard concept for me to understand because I just can't imagine, especially like the most hurtful hate that I've gotten is from other Black women, and that is wounding because
you playing with that damn IG Live, my nigga. You know, catching all of this.
I'm doing the Insta Snap. I don't know. You want me to do live as well?
IG Live, yeah.
I've been doing Insta Snap.
Well, now I'm getting nervous if we're doing live.
You are? Why? Oh, don't get nervous. All right, well, whatever.
I think for me, any Black woman that I see excelling in any space, one, I'm super proud of her because I know what she must have gone through to get there. If you think there's any Black woman in any position of any sort of power or prominence, and it hasn't been hell for her behind the scenes, then you're tripping. So one, just proud of her, and 2, that's a win for all of us. You know what I mean? When I see Issa Rae, she has an HBO production deal. I'm like, holy shit, like this is where we're going. Like this is I could write a TV show one day because she's helping to open these doors. So yeah, man, it's like the most hurtful hate I've gotten is from other Black women, but I've also developed tougher skin, and that's something Joe has told me all year. You just have to be tougher, you know what I mean? Even if people hate you, at least you're getting them talking. So that's something I have very much I have to get used to, especially from some of the fans. People have told me horrible things. Like after the Vic Mensa interview, there are people, Akademiks fans, who told me that they hope my mom died in her sleep.
Oh, girl, don't take me there. Oh, no.
You say that to a person. So there are days when like I'll just disappear from the internet and people are like, you need to post more, you gotta tweet more, you gotta Instagram, but like there are some points in the show where like the negativity is so much, I'm just like, meh, I'd rather just not be on the internet. I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I'll take a few days off, come back feeling rested and ready to deal with this shit again.
Yeah. Now, when you say the hate, surprisingly, after a while, it's not so surprising that it comes from other black women. Did it come from women that you knew?
No.
It always came from like
and
comments.
This is not me saying all black women, and I don't want to say that, because there are a lot of people who show me love, and a lot of black women and people that I run into them all the time, and they say how proud they are, and they ask for advice. So by no means am I saying that they're the majority. I'm just saying that's the portion that hurt me the most. Because
and it comes most. When you say mostly, it comes from that.
At this point, I feel like it's just a lot of kids on the internet, like young fans, like Akademiks fans, that like very young audience. Yeah, I get it the most from them now. So I'm definitely not trying to say that the majority of people.
I didn't take it that way. And I don't think anyone listening is taking it that way. And if you're listening right now, you're a fan of the podcast, I made a point to say that it's called Women in Hip Hop. And the hardest thing for me to get is women on women in hip hop podcasts, for the same reasons that you're expressing right now. And I said that to Joe, and he said, I was just having this conversation with my moderator, Nadeska, and then we started talking about you. And I saw him recently mention that on the show. I don't know who was the guest, but he did say, women would shade each other under the guidelines of women empowerment.
Absolutely.
And literally, I've been experiencing that in the flesh. That's why I asked you. Doesn't mean you knew the person, but you experienced it firsthand in person.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the comments on YouTube. Forget all of that. But I've actually dealt with women from all races. But it does hurt when it comes from your own kind.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that they kind of built this empire under those guidelines and that concept of women empowerment, and you want to connect and you want to build and you want to cross promote whatever it is, and it's like whoa,
exactly.
I thought that you was about that life, sister. What happened?
And most of the women in the industry have absolutely shown me a lot of love, and people like you, and I appreciate it. We haven't even met, but I appreciate that support. Yeah, but yeah, it's just it's very strange and confusing, and the worst part is those people, like you said, who hide under the guise of women empowerment. They're on Twitter and Instagram talking about it, and then realizing that they're fake. But in that situation, you can't do anything about it, right? Because then you're not going to tell the world, hey, this person is preaching this, but actually they're really not like that.
I think we should start calling motherfuckers out.
I feel like calling people out doesn't even, I feel like you just have to, that's a lot of it. It's just dealing with all this hurt and negative energy, not letting it consume you, and figuring out a way to make it productive. What's the lesson I learned from this? How am I going to shake this off and keep it moving without taking it personal? Because that shit will eat you alive. There are so many days, again, when people ask for advice, one of the things I tell them, a lot of it is just going to depend on how headstrong you are and how persistent you are. There are so many days that I want to quit, days that I feel defeated. There's been weeks we filmed this show where I feel depressed. I'm dreading coming to work because of what's going on behind the scenes. It's really difficult. So
behind the scenes at work?
Yeah, I mean with the show, look, again, it's 3 people just put together, trying to learn each other. Shit's gonna happen. It's like a family. You're gonna fight, you're gonna make up, sometimes you can see it sort of playing out on the show, and then the next day we're back and we're having fun. It really is like a family. You have your ups and downs, but yeah, with the whole world watching and picking you apart while you're also trying to deal with that, it has been a very trying year,
Yeah.
I've learned a lot and I've grown a lot, but it hasn't been easy.
Yeah, I commend you though, because you are more so in the front line of it all, and that's where the trollers have the opportunity to kind of really tear you apart when you really just trying to do your job and do it your way.
Right.
That's what I got when I watched you. Because like I said, when I interviewed Joe, I was like, I wanted to talk more, but then after watching, I was like, you know what, I get this. And then I'm starting to get the concept of the show, and now after interviewing you right now, I'm hearing that you guys are learning each other as it's happening in front of us. It's almost like reality TV.
It really is. Like, honestly, if we had a camera behind the scenes, like, it might be even more interesting than the show. Like, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's a concept. You might want to get on that, right?
I'm not gonna GoPro, but yeah, I'm just really trying to do my best and grow, and like, I hope it gets better and better. But like, yeah, you have to understand, for some people, it's just a sport tearing you down. And there's definitely a sector of teenage boys on the internet who just hate women. Yeah. You just can't do anything right, so you just have to know that that's how that goes.
Yeah. Now, what are your real thoughts on Akademiks and Joe Budden? Just your real thoughts. Like, just explain how you really feel about them two.
Those are my guys. They're just so opposite. It's crazy. Like, the dynamic.
Are they so opposite?
They're so opposite.
I see that, watching that, but you're literally in the middle.
The dynamic is just like really unbelievable.
This is your time to shine because you, my dear, do not get to talk as much. And I was so adamant about having you up here because I was like, I just want her to have a voice. I want to have a platform to tell her story and just, have fun. It's not going to be, a situation where I'm like, spill all the tea. Yeah. I really just want I want the listeners and the viewers to get to know you. Because those two are so dynamic and so out in the forefront on that show.
Right.
So
what I think about Akademiks? I think the character is just so interesting. It was very interesting meeting him for the first time.
People hate him, by the way.
But I think people hate Joe. Some people really hate me.
They hate each other for different reasons. People hate them too for different reasons. But we'll get on that. That's why I really just want to hear your assessment of the two.
Yeah. The very interesting thing about Akademiks is look, he has this extremely loyal fan base. Man, you do not want to piss them off. They have come for me.
He has a beehive?
Yes.
Yes. Akademiks.
Boy, they don't play, man. Trust, if they see an episode and they don't like, after that Vic Mensa episode, they're on my neck for weeks. The interesting thing about him is although he has this huge fan base and he's been doing his own media for so long, he is so green to the industry. And Joe, of course, has been in the industry for decades. Yeah. I've been doing this for a while, so I know a lot of people behind the scenes. Ak knows none of this. So his perspective on a lot of things really come from such a fan perspective sometimes, which is confusing.
A fan perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
AKA they don't have all the information.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're looking at it purely as a fan, but he also has this big following. It's just like a very strange dynamic. So him being out in the world, adapting to even corporate environment, he's very perceptive. He likes to watch and like see what's going on and like understand things. So watching both of them adapt to corporate life is pretty hilarious, to be completely honest with you. They're just not used to it. They don't understand the concept of meeting staff. Like, all right guys, Joe, you're gonna leave, you're gonna go back to the pool. I still have to be here. I have meetings, I have other shit to do all day.
Shout out to the pool.
You know what I mean? But watching Ak get acclimated to the industry and like become more confident and grow into himself, because I'm sure like, again, he has his diehard fans, the people who don't love him, but like no matter what happens on the show, I really respect that he's never too rattled. No matter what happens, he's gonna come on and be a professional and he's gonna do his job, and I really respect him for that. So it's amazing. But it really feels like watching a child grow in some ways.
I was gonna say that too. That's a good analogy.
It really does.
I see that. What about Joey?
Joe. Joe's one of the most dynamic humans I've ever met in my life. Can we say that?
Okay.
And he really feels like a big brother, and we fight like brother and sister sometimes. We absolutely do, and like I love him and we have a lot of fun together, but there are days when he's just like being a little manic, or he's being obsessive, or he doesn't like how something went, or like, like after the Migos interview we got yelled at in the car on the way back to the hotel. Why would you guys want to do this? You're fucking groupies, complex.
Oh, he was yelling at you guys?
Yeah, of course. So like we get that, you know what I mean? So there's like a lot of jokes and fun. Sometimes we're getting yelled at. We're all fighting with each other. Like I'm telling you, like no day is the same. Like you never know what you're walking into behind the scenes. But like they're great. Joe's like a great person. He gives me some good advice. Although some of it definitely is from, I'm like, Joe, I don't have retired rapper money. I can't do what you're telling me to do right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck all these rules and laws and complex. Just do what you want. Doesn't work like that, Joe. I'm sorry.
This is actually corporate world. You're more on the creative side.
Exactly. I have to balance these a little bit, until I'm free one day.
If we can, let's talk about the Migos. I was going to wait to talk about that, but I do want you to elaborate on that because I have a segment on here with you that I was going to say my favorite episodes on Everyday Struggle. So of course the infamous Migos versus, I won't even say Everyday Struggle. It was Migos versus Joey. Like,
Yeah.
right?
It really was.
Poor Nadeska.
I mean,
I saw you jump in the middle.
yo.
And I'm totally reactive in that same way. I would have done that, and then later got cussed out for doing it.
Oh, I got
why,
cussed
as a woman, are you jumping?
I got.
It's just I think it was a natural
It's
reaction.
totally an instinct to protect, and a lot of guys hit me after that, especially guys in the industry. Don't you ever jump between two dudes about to get into fights. Step out of the way. Let Joe, let Ak, whoever it is, catch the fade. Like, we don't need you in the middle. But yeah, it's completely instinctual. You know what I mean? Like, again, whatever we go through, that's like my family. I'm a very, very loyal person. So no matter what we go through, like, if you're ever in trouble, my first instinct is to protect. I'll never do that again. I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
But I was terrified. I was like, if someone hits someone, it's over. We're those kids that you invited to the party, you came with all your hood rat friends and created chaos. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want a full-on brawl on the BT carpet. I didn't want anyone getting hurt. So yeah, it was totally stupid of me to jump in the way. I wouldn't do that again. But like, in the moment, I just couldn't help it.
Okay. Give us a little backstory as to really went down at the BET Awards. Did you see it coming? I mean, was there a conversation?
Honestly, I didn't see it or understand it until we got back to the hotel and watched the footage. I was still confused. So, you guys remember I was so I couldn't hear anything. So you guys remember the Lil Yachty episode of Everyday Struggle?
Yes.
Joe yells at him about not knowing his financial label situation, whatever. And that's kind of where the tension started because him and Migos are both on the same label. So I think it just sort of carried on from there, and it was like bubbling. And earlier in the day, Joe said he went out to get dress socks or something like that, and ran into one of the guys from QC. So there was just a little bit of backstory. And I guess when Migos sat down, maybe he tried to dap them. They didn't really react, and so he was immediately just like.
Oh, he tried to dap them.
I think so. And he said there was no response, so he was just sort of like.
It was on some fuck out of here.
So you saw him with his bitchy Auntie Joe face on immediately, just looking at them the whole time. And so he was sitting the closest. Akademiks and I could not hear a thing. It's super loud on red carpets. Like, it's hard to hear.
It is.
Migos never speak up. They're always sort of whispering to begin with.
Okay.
So like, I was confused why Joe dropped the mic. Because I was only partially hearing the conversations, and then I was just very confused about everything. So yeah, not till we watched the footage back did I realize that when Ak said, you know, you're one of my favorite groups, that it really sent Joe off the deep edge. Like, it was just, I literally couldn't hear, and I know a lot of people thought we were trolling or Ak was trolling. I swear we just couldn't hear anything they were saying.
Yeah, because the people were crazy. Well, I did see somewhere where Joe explained that he ran into one of the guys from their team, and he was like chill on Lil Yachty. And he did try to dap one of the members, and he was giving him no love.
Yeah.
And then y'all kind of just go into the whole interview process after that, and then it just what we saw on footage. Was a lot of editing involved? Was a lot of things cut out, or was it?
No, I think like the guy he saw earlier made a comment to him as well, and then the Migos wouldn't dap him up, so the vibe was already weird. But I hadn't even seen that they wouldn't really dap him, so I missed that completely. Yeah, no, because the carpet's just hectic, and we were like switching guests pretty rapidly. But Ak, again, a fan. He's never met any of these guys. He's covered them for so long, but this is his first time out in the world. He's like staring at all the beautiful women walking on the carpet and seeing all these rappers for the first time. So he was just genuinely excited. So the energy was opposite. Joe's like, I'm already over these dudes. Ak is super excited, and I'm in the middle. Like, I've had many awkward Migos interviews, so it's just like whatever at this point, you know.
Already with Complex.
Oh yeah, of course. We had a weird one at Complex Con. I've had several like encounters with them. I know at MTV, I interviewed them years ago. Like when Versace, I think, had first come out.
Yes.
So it's been a while. So I don't know. That just really went left really quick. It happened very fast, and not until we got back to the hotel room and watched the footage did I fully understand. Like, I had heard nothing that Takeoff was saying to Ak that entire time. So none of that was scripted, I promise you. Just
Did anybody get hurt?
No.
No one got touched.
Thank God. And that's why I'm happy that I did jump in there.
You was like, security? Where's our security?
No, we got a security guard just for this because the guys were worried about it. And we've, at Complex, like, usually it's like me covering the carpet with the other anchors. We're not worried about beefing with anyone. We don't need security. So that was a first for the brand as well. And we get the security guard, And then shit goes down. Where is he? Like, where is he? I think he was trying to take pictures with amigos, do all sorts of weird shit. I'm like, why am I getting in between this fight before you? So I know I sound stupid at the end screaming for security, but I was genuinely like,
no,
man,
you was the smart one.
Paying you for
outside
this.
Jumping in the middle, which I'm like would have done the same thing, but you know, natural instincts. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Wrong or right doesn't matter.
Next time we'll have better security. Although my boss after that was like, all right, kids, no more field trips. You guys
So you're never going to do Red Carpet again?
I mean, I hope so, right? The Grammys are in New York next year, South by Southwest. It would be cool to go out and meet the fans, because going out and feeling people like really, that's when I finally realized how much people love the show. Because all of the people online who love and hate or whatever, in real life, the love is like overwhelming. Oh, never. No one in real life has ever said anything negative, because you know how that goes, right? But it would be amazing to take the show on the road and do stuff like that. But like, again, we're just those friends. I feel like those friends you can't take anywhere. We're just don't know how to act ever. You just can't take us.
Have you heard from their camp after that at all?
Well, yeah, on the way here tonight, I saw that they dropped that song where they're shitting on Joe, right? Should we play it? I heard it's like, I think it's a Quavo on the hook. Something, it's a hater, you call it Joe Budden. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow. Joe's going to have a field day, I'm sure.
That just happened prior to you coming here for this interview?
Like tonight it's out, yeah.
I totally missed that.
So I don't think, no, they haven't, as far as I know, maybe behind the scenes, I don't know if Joe's talked to label people. I feel like Ak has. He hasn't spoken to the Migos at all.
Ak spoken to...
I believe he might have spoken to their team. Sorry, I'm knocking things over. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but he's had no conversations like with the Migos. It would be nice to have them on next year to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of that, but you know.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can patch things up before then.
So what did they say in this record?
I literally just heard a snippet. I don't know if the whole song is out yet. If I could grab my phone, we could play, but I hear Quavo just calling Joe Budden a hater on it.
It's a whole record. You know what? I'm going to implement it in the editing process.
Snippet, yeah.
Yes,
I'm excited to hear the rest of it.
Now let's talk about some of my favorite episodes on there. It's funny, I don't have those cards in front of me, but I have good memory, I think. And I want you...
One of us.
One of us. I just want to get your input on it. So the Little Yachty, obviously, was another famous one.
Right.
What the hell was you thinking as that was going down?
Like, God, please don't let his fucking forehead explode. It looked like his veins are gonna pop out of his head, like Joe when he was screaming. But again, that's why we have such opposite styles of dealing with people in interviews. I felt bad for Yachty, and I just wanted to jump in. Especially, there's some points I think we were debating and Yachty wasn't really talking. I don't like when guests come. I feel like I'm very old-fashioned in that way. I always want a guest to feel very welcome, you know? So I wanted to make sure he got a chance to talk. And then when Joe started screaming, I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't even know how to help this kid. Because that's the point where I could try to interject. It doesn't matter. Joe's just going to scream louder than I have. So in those situations, you just sort of have to let it unfold. But I'm glad that we've gotten past those situations. Our interviews, I think, are a lot better now than they were around the time of Yachty.
Because he was you guys' first guest. Was he?
He might have been the very first guest. Yeah, I feel like him and Wale were the early ones. Because at that point, they were being super selective with guests. Like, Joe didn't want a ton of people on. So yeah, what a way to start.
So I guess in hindsight, would you say you kind of, like you said, you felt bad for Lil Yachty? So in that particular argument, your team Yachty?
I don't know if I'm...
You're safe. I feel like Akademiks would be like, no, I wasn't fucking with Joe that way. He was wrong.
Yeah, no, the thing is, Joe was making a good point.
He was. He actually, he brought a lot out of Yachty.
Yeah. And
brought a lot of information out for the listeners and the viewers to kind of be like, oh, you know what? I know what a 360 is now.
Right.
Before they probably
and that's
didn't.
What's so incredible.
I feel like he even educated Little Yachty.
Right.
Little Yachty didn't know what that was.
And I
was shocked
too. Yeah, because I as like a music journalist, of course, we cover more of like the music and some of the like business stuff. But like I am definitely learning a lot from him about labels, deals, and stuff. So like his point was completely valid. Everything he was saying was accurate. Just like the delivery, because Yachty's such like his temperament is like this. So it's very chill, so subdued, very like easygoing, and Joe is just so extra. So like watching Yachty try to soak it all, and like him telling Joe to chill.
That was hilarious.
I wanted to cry. I was like, that's the perfect response to him. He's freaking out, and you're just sitting here staring at him, like kind of confused. So now Joe's point was completely valid, but he could have maybe taken it a little easier on poor Yachty.
The delivery could have been a little better.
As always.
The Ashanti interview. Now, one line in particular, or the one question, or the biggest discrepancy I would say out of that whole thing was her feeling like she didn't want money thrown on her because even though she's dressed in a bodysuit, which Joe was like, strippers wear bodysuit, and that was crazy to me because Joe was right, but I feel like Joe is great at what he does on that show because he knows how to spark an argument / debate, and that's really what that show is. It's the hip hop version of First Take. That's how I sum it up, which I love. And I'm like, Joe know damn well what she's trying to say.
Exactly. But he will just go till he gets it. But she wasn't backing down. I'll give it to her. And so, look, we don't have...
She's a Libra. So
yeah, we don't have... Oh, okay, so this is a Libra thing. We don't have a lot of female guests up, man. And she came ready for both of them. I was like, I'm stepping out of the way.
I saw you like shot. She was like, get up a shot. Like, no, fuck, get up a shot.
Yeah, I was like, it's nice to have some backup for once. Because you realize we can't talk about anything woman-related on that show, man. It just evolves into such a hot mess so quickly.
You think so?
Yeah, and then someone's gonna call me a queen feminist, and I just like, it's so condescending.
We don't need
like,
labels.
Exactly.
I just have an opinion.
Yeah.
I just know right from wrong.
Having conversations with them about anything women related is just like really a mess. That's been one of the most challenging parts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you probably, of course, feel obligated as an only woman
the
on
stuff
the show.
that I am going through, that I'm actively dealing with. But you're just being a queen feminist. What does a queen feminist mean? I'm just a woman. How can I not advocate for other women, period? And for myself, you know what I mean? So the Shanti thing was funny. Like, of course, like, she had a point, but Joe was not going to let her off the hook for that.
But you totally... So who did you agree with in that particular debate? Because again, only reason I'm asking it is not to cause a divide or anything like that, because much love to Joe. But I would hit him up and be like, you know you was fucking wrong for like trying to, or I'm like, why did you go harder on Amber Rose? Like you could have really delved in on the questions with, and I said it on the episode that he was on, with the whole slut walk. I felt like he was easy on her.
Did he say why?
Good question. Let me think. Did he say why?
They're also friends, so I don't know if that
right.
has anything to do with it.
I want to say maybe he said that, or I'm not sure because of 21 Savage was there. But I think
Mr. Savage watching from the control room.
I think it might have been he was easy on her because they were friends. But I felt like it would have been more entertaining if he would have just been his Joey self.
Yeah.
You know, really challenge her.
So Amber got lucky there.
I felt like she did. And I'm rooting for Amber. And I feel like her cause is greater than what is being projected as, because it's being camouflaged with like other things.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like, I totally get what she is trying to do or is doing. And it could be lost in translation because of other things are overshadowing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I kind of wanted that to be talked about, and I was like rooting for Joe to kind of challenge that and push the conversation forward, and I didn't get that. However, he did do that with Ashanti, and I'm like, you could have went a little easy on that one, because it wasn't that much of a...
That's the unpredictability of Joe, though, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, okay, this is clearly a conversation where we're here for jokes, I'm ready for the jokes. He puts on his serious Joe Budden voice, and this is nothing that we want to laugh about. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I honestly think, like, he just, whatever you think is going to happen is probably going to be the opposite, and then the opposite of that, because you can't even guess what the opposite, if it makes sense.
Right?
Just no one ever try to predict what Joe Budden's going to do. That's what I have learned. You just really can't. You never know. There's like 10 different personalities in there.
Okay, so to be clear, did you agree with the fact that men should throw money on her because she had on a bathing suit?
No. And so, but then watching the extended video with her doing the lap dances and all that, but I'm like, she's a performer, right? Like, you know it's Ashanti, you know she's not a stripper, why would you be throwing cash at her? But Wendy Williams seemed to agree with Joe.
Yes, and she's one of my favorite people. She's one of my friends in my head, but I disagree with what she said myself. Yeah. So, and that's what I feel the world needs, just some dialogue to express your truth.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad you're here, because again, I feel like you don't get to really express your truth enough. So I kind of just want to get your opinion. Like, I work with Wendy. I've been on the show. She's been on my show. One of my favorite episodes. But even with that, I'm like, nah.
Yeah, there are a lot of female performers who wear bodies.
I don't think she deserved that.
Don't get money thrown at them.
can respectfully disagree for sure. Okay, so we got that episode. Another one of my favorites. It wasn't really my favorite, but I do want to get to this with you because I feel like this had to be a challenging interview for you. The Russ interview. What the hell happened?
Yeah, that's a very good question. What the hell happened?
What happened with that guy, Russ?
So a few months earlier, he had this little thing with Pigeons and Planes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're one of our blog. I love the guys at Pigeons and Planes. Truly respect them. They're like some of the last people who are not just covering artists who are already on, but artists who are upcoming, that in 3 years they might really be on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they reached out to him for a feature, and then he basically snapped back like, look, I've been sending you guys all my music, etc., and you never wanted to like deal with me, and now I don't need you, blogs are irrelevant. Pigeons and Planes, I thought they handled it super well. They're like, you're right, blogs are not as relevant as they once were. And so I think Russ didn't like the way I introduced the topic on Everyday Struggle. But to be honest with you, as soon as that episode was done, I forgot. I never thought about Russ again. His team had hit me a couple times asking to have him on the show, but again, it was very early in the show. The guys were super selective. At that point, I feel like we'd had Yachty, Wale, maybe one other person when they were pitching me. So I was like, look, I wrote in the email, which I also forgot, like, the guys aren't entertaining too many guests, but like
his people's emailed you
asking for him to come on the show. But I said no, and I was honest.
Real quick, not to cut you off, is that proper protocol?
Yeah.
You were the go-to person for guests to be on Everyday Struggle?
Yeah, so since, I've been working in the industry for a while, and especially at Complex, so I was already like booking interviews and confirming or whatever, so I knew a lot of like label people. So like his rep, I knew her from my days working at MTV when she used to work with like Lil Wayne and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like an executive producer on the show, so there's a lot I do behind the scenes, like booking talent, coordinating our schedule, like there's a lot more to it than me just sitting in that chair and moderating that people don't know about, you know what I mean? So yeah, I am sometimes a messenger. I'm the one telling artists like, no, the guys don't want you now. Anyway, completely forgot about that. Fast forward months later, we're doing these Friday episodes, just me and Akademiks, because Joe couldn't like figure out his situation with Complex to do that, so we have to rotate guest hosts. So they reached out again about Russ, and I was like, all right, we don't have a guest for this week. This actually makes sense. You could come on. I thought nothing of it. That email, none of that. So we got, I feel like we're 40 minutes into the interview. I let you speak your piece. You told us how you write, produce, edit, do everything yourself. How you feel like you don't get enough love. And then he decides to call me a liar for an email I wrote months ago. People were like, oh, I feel like you should have turned up on him more. Well, first I was just stunned for a second, caught off guard. I was racking my brain trying to remember the email, and I couldn't. I'm like, you know how much has happened in my life since then? I don't know what I wrote, but I was like, if I'm remembering, because I don't lie to people, I would have said that we're not taking too many guests. So later, when we put up the episode, I went and put the email, and it was exactly what I remembered that I would have said. So my issue with Russ is that do not come on a show and call me a liar. You know what I mean? Like, you really came to attack the moderator. And when I'm like, why would you do that 40 minutes into the conversation, accuse me of lying about an email that I wrote 6 months ago? You know what I mean? You could have talked to me about that before the show. You could have talked to me about it after. You're here now. Why not take the opportunity to just talk about your music and reach a new fan base? So I was completely turned off of him. I wanted to wrap the show immediately, but I felt like I should be professional and like keep pushing through for a little bit longer. But just this whole idea of like, the chip on his shoulder he has attacking me because he doesn't like, I'm like, are you kidding? Who hasn't been through a lot to get where they are? You don't think a lot of people have tried to hold me back, have tried to sabotage me, have not shown me any love, did not care about me until I was on this show? Why are you so entitled to come here and call me a liar, you know? So the cameras are up, I'm like, cool, show's over, let's get out of here. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. Go back to my office, and then he comes over, he wants to talk, he wants to give me a hug. I'm like, why are we hugging right now? I don't want to hug it out. And later his publicist asked me for my number, like, oh, he wanted your number to talk about it. And I didn't want to talk about it at that point because you're not going to come on a show that, hundreds of thousands of people watch, accuse me of lying. And to this day, that's the issue that I have. It's not about, he could have asked about the email in any other way, but he said, that was a whole lie. You said you weren't having a guest on. Do not call me a liar. Do not call me a liar on a show that's getting hundreds of thousands of views and then behind the scenes try to make up. If you want to talk about it, we should have talked about it on the show, or you should have apologized on the show. And then, I don't know, he went on to do his press run. And almost every interview, it just kept coming up, you know? And
Really?
Yeah, he talked to Flex about it. He did the rap radar thing because people would tag me in it. And then he would say...
pretty much stuck to his guns.
Yeah, but then he would say the same thing. Right, and he would say, well, I think he kind of was like, well, I didn't mean to go there and attack her if it came off that way, which is cool. But then he keeps saying, like, then I tried to hug it out and talk to her, and she didn't want to have the conversation.
Oh, so he's exposing what happened behind the scenes.
But again, I don't want to talk to you behind the scenes after you try to embarrass me and call me a liar in front of everyone. Like, let's do it in front of everyone if we're gonna do it. You know what I mean? I don't need to have a conversation with you behind the scenes. Yo, I have interviewed so many artists. I'm talking about legends, people I worship, the Pharrells of the world, like those people. Yeah. And for someone like Russ to be that disrespectful, I've never had an experience with an artist like that in 10 years. Never, not once. And so it is what it is. I wish him the best. He's a very talented guy, and I hope he does great in his career, and he's extremely successful, but no, I will not deal with someone calling me a liar, and no, we're not gonna fucking hug it out afterwards. I'm sorry.
Yeah, very well said.
Yeah, no thanks.
You was about to say what? Got you fucked up. Exactly. I heard it coming out, girl. This is the stage to just be Nadeska Alexis. Please.
That was unbelievable.
That's very well said. Now, what can he do to make it right? Because it seems like does he want to apologize?
I honestly don't care.
Does he want to apologize? Did he apologize? Because you said don't do it behind the scenes, do it in front of the hundreds. So it seems will it be better for you? And this reminds me of the whole Escape. Shout out to Candy. Are you a fan?
Yeah.
Of the whole Real Housewives and what's going down there?
That's my favorite. The Atlanta one is my favorite.
Shout out to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's mine too. And Beverly Hills, no shade. Beverly Hills probably more. But yeah. So with the members of the Escape, which is really the Escape show, which is a great show as well. You already know what happened, do you not?
I don't know how all the drama.
Well, her ex-members they're reunited. They accused her of breaking up the group because she slept with JD and she slept with everybody in the industry and slept with Jermaine Dupri's dad. Like, just outrageous claims. And that's what tore them apart when they were early on in their career, when they first broke up. And Candy insisted that you went on the radio and you said these things about me. I need you to publicly go on the radio again and say what you said back then was a lie. And she did that. And even though she did that, I don't think that was enough for Candy. That's what she wanted. That's what she asked for. And the girl that said that about her gave her that. And it still wasn't enough. So it feels like it's kind of similar.
Yeah, okay, but like for me, it's really not that deep, and that's the thing. And I know a lot of people are gonna want to talk to me about it, but I don't like to harp on anything negative. So one, I just don't care about Russ. It's not that like, oh man, I really hate this person, whatever. I just genuinely don't care.
Were you a fan prior?
No.
Okay.
And so like to me, it matters none, to quote Joe Budden. So like if this was J. Cole and we had this incident, man, I would feel like shit. You're my favorite rapper. It would really be hurtful to a person that I love, whose music I listen to, whatever. To me, like, I never thought about Russ outside of any of those episodes, but it felt like he was harboring this thing. So look, if he did want to apologize one day, it's cool. If he never does, I don't care. Like, I never need to see Russ again. I never need to, like, have a conversation. I'm not harboring any ill will. There's, like, a line. Like, so with me and Joe and Ak, we joke around and whatever, and that's, like, family now. But, like, no, I will not let anyone random just disrespect me. My mother would never stand for that. I don't care who you are. You could be the biggest rapper in the world. You're not going to disrespect me, and then I'll be like, cool, let's just hug it out. Fuck out of here.
I admire your strength.
You know what I mean?
Now, I was reading the comments on that. Now, people always say, oh, she's emotional.
Yeah.
He said you was. Now, I understood why you was bothered by that, and I was upset at Akademiks for kind of even. But it's kind of hard because we're women in this male-dominated
industry. But they're
industry.
very emotional. Joe doesn't get emotional on the show. Like, these guys don't get emotional and react or whatever, but it's only a word that you say to a woman. You know what I mean? And of course they killed me for that in the comments, all the teenage boys. This girl, she's so emotional. You're dumb, stupid feminist. That was another episode where for weeks they were spamming my Instagram. You're so sensitive and you're this and that. So it's like, it's so crazy. Like, a lot of it is, you can't necessarily always have your natural reaction because people read it so differently.
You can't.
You know what I mean?
And this is what I'm trying to tell you. For me as a viewer, that's what made you more likable. And that's what made you more relatable. Because when that happened, the way you responded showed us who you really are. And you're just a human being. But it's hard to detect that when you're not speaking as much.
Right.
And these two are like overpowering, going back and forth, which is whatever, that's fine. But when you, I'm sure, felt attacked, right? You felt attacked. So it was like we resonated with that as women, as people. And this is about women and versus man. It was really just us seeing you kind of for the first time responding to what happens in everyday life, right?
Yeah.
And
that's interesting. I never thought about it like that.
So I need you to know that
because you know there's the dynamic. So like I saw there's like a video that has like hundreds of thousands. Russ exposes Nadeska in everyday struggle. So I'm always, another thing that the show taught me, I am always baffled at how people watch the same video and how they see the complete opposite
of what you see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, actually what happened. Right. In the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy, like even posting the email and showing that what I said was actually what I said. I didn't say we're taking no guests. I said we're not entertaining too many. People were still like, she got exposed. So I'm glad that, yeah, if it felt like you saw a more human side of me.
And believe that there's more people probably feels the way I feel and feels the way you feel. It's just people like us in our same minds and body and soul are trolling.
That makes sense.
No, seriously. And I need you to know that because I'm like, damn, you know, because we get so caught up in reading comments. We do. And sometimes we feel validated when the good outweighs the bad. And we feel fucked up when the bad outweighs the good.
Right.
And we kind of determine as to that is how the world feels. And it's not. Because watching that, I was like... And you gotta understand the time that we're living in. And shout out to Jay-Z. He expressed this on his at his concert. You know, we've always lived in a racist world. And I feel like it's more obvious, right? Because of who we have as our president. People feel more confident to show their face than true colors. I feel even more so, like Jay said, we're living in a more sexist world. So being a woman in power, being a woman in the forefront, is more evident now that they just don't fucking get us. And they don't want to get us.
They don't want to
because they don't want, it's not that they don't want to because they feel we have a place in this world.
And a lot of it is so subconscious because I have conversations with Joe and Ak about this, right? Like it comes up behind the scenes, but like on some level they just don't get it and they never could. And I tell Joe that I wish she was having a girl and that I hope that if him and Sin have more kids.
I thought that too.
I felt that way too. And I feel like Akademiks needs to have a girl because there's just levels to it that they just don't understand. And I think that they never will. And they think I'm always being emotional and sensitive. But I'm like, especially this year, when all these women are being brave enough to speak up about all the horrible shit that they go through in these terrible industries that we work in, it would be cool if, like, I know we're here for the jokes and all of it, but when I try to make a point, you don't randomly just call me a queen feminist. It's not even related to what I was talking about. Like, it's not good for all the kids who are watching, all the boys who are like 13 at home watching. This sort of stuff is not helpful for women in hip-hop. It's already hard enough being in that space. Like, we have to move differently. Even the way I move with artists, back to when I was on Rap Fix, you know what I mean? The artists come in, you come kick it, you say what up, you can hang out after. I was always wary about those situations because, you know how guys are.
Yeah.
It's like if you're talking immediately, she must be trying to fuck, or she's a groupie, or she's something. And so it's weird. I think a lot of that I have internalized, and maybe that comes through on the show. A lot of people told me early I seemed really stuck up down to the way I sat, but to be honest, like I just couldn't lean back. There's no back in the chair. I have to sit up straight. But I'm like, cool, if me sitting up straight makes you think I'm stuck up, whatever. But I think a lot of it is Joey Badass the other day. I saw him backstage at the Black show. He was like, oh my God, we were talking about something. He's like, I couldn't believe you would even drink or smoke or anything. You seem super straight edge. I'm like a normal person. I grew up in Flatbush. I went to high school in Brooklyn. I am very much a Brooklyn girl. I get into shit. Like, I can kick it, and my mom has always told me, as a woman and as a black woman, you always have to work twice as hard and be smarter, and you know what I mean? So yeah, maybe I seem ultra composed on the show, but it's like I feel like I can't relax that the way the guys do. The standards are just different. But then if it comes off as stuck up, then I'm like, is it too much? It really is, I don't know.
It's just a constant, everyday struggle.
It really is.
As women, we are, especially in this industry. because we're being faced, like you said, with so much. You're a beautiful woman in this industry that's male dominated, so it's natural for men to want to have this animalistic attraction to you, right? So I'm glad that you touched on what's happening in Hollywood, because that was my next question. Have you experienced any of that?
I haven't experienced any executives or any artists being aggressive towards me, and I'll say like I'm very grateful. Of course, they've hit on me, you know what I mean? There's situations where I feel like we're talking and I think this is a professional setting, but it's like, hey, can I get your number? Can I text you later? Or, you know what I mean? That's like happened, and it is what it is, but I've been fortunate that no one has been like very aggressive with me, and I'm definitely grateful for that. But then again, I don't put myself in those situations. I'm very much like, I'm very low key. I'm a homebody. I'm working or I'm at home. I'm on my couch watching TV. I'm listening to my audiobooks. I'm not really like out much in the clubs. I'm not around rappers that much outside of work. So like I really try to remove myself from any spaces like that where things that are uncomfortable could happen.
So to wrap that up, any advice that you would give to women that you feel are faced with that type of adversity?
Look, I mean, I think all you can do is, of course, any advances, they make you turn down advances, but you're polite, right? You don't have to be rude about it. You can smile and whatever and turn the conversation back to music or work. It's always going to happen, but it just depends on the way you carry yourself and the messages you give people. You know what I mean? If you're in a workplace and you're dressing super overtly sexual and you feel like the guys are being weird, maybe tone it down with your dress, you know what I mean? It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have those uncomfortable situations. Just try to smile through it. And that's really the best you can do, I guess.
Yeah. Well said, well said. And that is advice from Nadeska.
It always sounds better when you say it. You say everything for me. You make things so much more enjoyable.
Maybe I just really enjoy your name. I'm going to run these questions down and you can give me, your quick answers, one-word answers, however you want to do it. What has been your favorite episode?
To be honest, it wouldn't be a guest episode. There have been a couple episodes, they usually happen on Thursdays, where sometimes we've had such a long week and we're just in the silly mood. Like, I think we had one of them last week after Ashanti. It was just all jokes. Like, we're struggling to even get to the topic because we're all in a good mood and, like, we're really vibing. So definitely not an artist episode, just any of those where, like, we're just so good as a family and we're having fun. It doesn't feel like work. We're just kicking it and then it's an hour, 10 minutes and we're like, oh, I guess we should wrap because we have to get the show up.
Yeah.
So those are always my favorite by far.
Do you have a favorite guest show? Because that was a two-part question, because I feel like your favorite show doesn't have to involve a guest.
Recently, who did we have up? I liked having Big Crit up. I'm trying to think. My memory's so bad. It's just like there's so much that happens that I can't even remember. I also really like 21 Savage and G Herbo. I like the people that I haven't met and getting to know them. Like G Herbo was one. Like I didn't know what
very smart,
very smart, and like not what I thought he would be, like his temperament or whatever. So
growing up in Chicago,
yeah,
all of
like,
that, right?
Yeah, I loved meeting him. I loved having
guy.
SZA on. I love SZA, so that was also a great interview. So those are some of my favorite ones.
I would say worst episode, but
Russ.
worst episode / guest, Russ, right? Okay,
Yeah.
boom. Do you have a dream guest that you can't wait to interview on Everyday Struggle?
I would die if you ever got an Eminem interview. I would absolutely just pass out and fucking die. I love M. Like the first rap concert I saw was like Anger Management Tour. Like that was such a crazy experience. And I've had an opportunity to meet him briefly once. And I almost melted. Like, I've never been starstruck like that before. And it was thanks to Sway. We were up at Shade 45, and he was doing an interview. So if anyone has ever watched a Sway interview, man, this guy gives the grandest intro. Here is Nadeska, leader of the free world and, like, ruler of the 7 kingdoms. And I'm like, did you just really give me a grand introduction to Eminem? What the hell am I supposed to say now, you know? Like, I love M. Like, I wish she would come on.
Okay. Now, what would you say is the biggest misconception of Nadeska?
I guess from going out and talking to people like Joey Badass that I'm super stuck up and straight edge. I mean, like, I know I have a lot of faults. I'm a person. I can have a temper. I can be this and that, but I don't think I'm really a stuck up person. And so that's one of the criticisms that's been the most hurtful. So, but I take it constructively. Like, what am I doing on the show that makes me seem stuck up? Or is it like you said, the more I get to talk, you see, I'm really just like a normal ass girl from Brooklyn. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm not a very stuck up person, but people seem to think that a lot from watching the show, unfortunately.
A lot of people hit on you as well when I read the comments.
What comments are you reading?
I'm reading. I saw hashtag Nadeska is so hot. This sleeveless Nadeska thing is kind of weird for me too.
What's happening over there?
Look, shout out to my live. Nadeska is
Can
so
I see
hot.
you sweating? We're live still? I forgot that. I'm like over here sweating. In the
You look great. I'm telling you, you actually look great.
Whew. Well, thank you. You see some nice comments. No. There
are nice comments. Of course there are. But you get the trolls, of course. But I'm not going to sit up here and just talk about nothing but those damn trolls. Let's talk about the love, because you do get it.
A lot of people show love online, and like I really, really appreciate it. And I only feel bad that sometimes I'm not able to respond to everyone who says something nice and to say thank you, because like
you respond.
Yeah, of course. I love
Instagram, of course, not YouTube.
Twitter. No, YouTube comments, I don't go in there. Nothing good happens in the YouTube comments. I stay far away from there. I do talk to people on Twitter, though. You know what I mean? Like, I love having conversations with people who watch the show, and like, I don't know, anyone who's ever hit me on Twitter and said something nice, if I haven't answered you, there's a chance that I saw it in passing and I wasn't able to respond. And like on days when I'm feeling super down and lonely, because sometimes there's no one to talk to about it, right? I can't really talk to my family and friends about it much. They just wouldn't understand. Joe and Acker, like, stop being so damn blah, blah, blah. Just deal with it. And I'm just sort of in my head feeling weird. And
yeah, me
it's
too. Nice
when people hit you and I appreciate you guys getting up early every day and doing this. I know it can't be easy. So I absolutely appreciate all those people.
Are you single?
I rather not talk about my personal life, which is something that Joe hates.
Really?
Yeah. Because, he's very open with his relationships. Him and Sam did a reality show together. Like, he's that guy.
He's the OG of being
he's
too
really
open,
good.
probably.
But part of me being this person that's like a little private and like seeing how, as I've been on the show and gotten more exposure, the way some people like attack me, I don't want anyone close to me, family, friends, people I love. I don't want to put anyone else in that position. I don't think it's fair. I think my private life is my private life. Like, I'm one of those people. I think it's not your business, really. Not you. You know what I mean, though, right?
No,
I don't see for
Jazz
me.
is none of your business.
No, not
who
for
I'm
you.
smashing.
No,
and what they look like.
Yeah,
and who they are.
I just don't see how this could go well for me. I think with someone like with Joe, when you have a sin, so she's used to it. They balance each other well. They have that support. Like someone who's not used to that, like attack. Like there've been people who have been tagged in my pictures that fans will start to attack. And I have to apologize and ask them to like make their accounts private. So like I would just so I would just for me, my private life is just like
off limits.
Yeah.
Okay.
For as long as I can till Joe blurts out random shit or makes shit up on. That's another one of the great things about Everyday Struggle. They just make things up sometimes. It's great. And then I try to fight the fake narrative, and somehow I end up deeper in the hole. So these days I'm just like, word, that's right. Everything you're saying is true. It doesn't even matter like what I try to dispute.
Or no answer at all.
Yeah, I'm just like, whatever, guys. Whatever.
I've learned that to not respond to what you don't want to continue on. To just not respond.
Yo, it's mind games. I am definitely learning mind games from working with Joe.
I've been through the ringer. So I've learned. Trial and error, though. Trial and error. Okay, now these are my hip-hop questions. This is how I usually run in the show. Okay. It's all confessionals. But it's hip-hop confessionals because you already said, Jazzy, mind your business. Okay. Which I love.
That's funny. Maybe one day I'll change.
And don't.
Who knows? Maybe one day you'll see me on reality TV. Then you'll know.
Are you open to that?
The day you see me on reality TV, you know something in my head is broken. Like me, the shy person, like having cameras follow me around 24/7, you would know I'm off the best drug in the world. Whatever could like cause me to do that. I doubt that. I do want to create TV. I want to write a TV show, but like scripted. Like I've dreamt my whole life of writing like an HBO show. I would love to do one for Netflix. Like that's something I would love to do in the next couple of years. Like start writing my show. Beautifully produced, multiple seasons, like scripted show, and I don't think reality TV is my thing necessarily.
I like that. I'm involved in that, so I'm just thinking as
in reality TV or in just show scripted.
Well, just creating and TV world and concepts. So I have a few things like I'm working on. So like literally, as you're talking about it, I just see you in something that.
Like I have. Oh, really? It's just so crazy how you realize like how many versions of storytelling there are, right? Like I always wanted to be a writer, but I think at the core of it, I've always wanted to tell stories. I've loved reading, so that is like daily blogging, it's interviews, it's this show, it's like
mini docs, and it can be like TV shows. So I think that's something I've realized in the past few years. There's no limit to the stories that you can tell. So why not just like fucking shoot as high as possible?
Yeah. Now I'll totally say go for it. She'll totally do it. Okay, here we go.
All right. Should I be nervous?
Nope.
Okay.
Top 5 favorite female rappers of all time.
Wow.
It's Woman in Hip Hop, baby.
Missy.
Ooh.
Kim, Foxy. I'm just talking about people I like, right? They don't have to be like actually. Is this an officially ranked list?
Oh, this is official.
These are just the people.
No, but no particular order.
Okay.
But this is your top 5.
Okay.
This is serious, baby. You gotta take it serious.
Bro, Missy was.
You see, I'm writing this shit.
I see,
and it was on record.
But everyone should know her Sharpie is really running out of ink right now. So is she really writing these down?
It is. It's light, but it's up there. And I have no record.
Okay, alright. Who else? I really
You
like
said
Eve.
Missy?
Yeah,
Kim?
Missy, Kim, Foxy. These are the people I was listening to when I was young. I loved Eve. I wanted to be Eve so bad when I was young. I remember one year for Halloween, everyone dressed up for like, they were the Rough Riders and someone else got Eve before me. I was so tight. I was like, I can't believe I lost
And you're
it.
going for it?
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? I love Eve. How many is that I have?
You have Missy, Kim, Fox, Eve. I want to say you said somebody else and I missed.
Yeah, there's one more person, because these are the people I used to listen to a lot when I was younger. Who am I blanking on? I do like Nicki a lot.
You did say
When she's on her really rap shit, I love Nicki. And I feel like there's one person I'm forgetting right now. But that's 5 for now, right?
that is fine for now.
Okay.
If you want to give me a 6 woman,
still ain't working though.
I have it down. I see Missy, Kim, Foxy, and Eve, and Nicki.
If I think of one more, I'll get back to you.
Okay. Do you have a favorite song from a female rapper? If so, what is it?
I don't think I have one favorite
Yeah, you do.
song of all time.
Female rapper.
Yeah, like what would be my favorite like Kim or Foxy record?
Because you would say those two are pretty much. Do you tell your age?
Sort of.
You sort of tell your age.
Not really, it's never been a thing. Some random website published some shit and people like attack me like, you're not 23 like I thought. I'm like, I never said I was 23. What's the problem?
Okay.
I'm 30 years old. I'm an adult.
Okay, cool.
Grown ass woman,
Okay.
actually.
Good. I got that from you because your top 5 is,
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking when I was in like junior high school and like high school. Are you kidding me? Like Kim and Foxy and Rough Riders and all of that. They were everything, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Worship them. Oh, my favorite song.
Kim or Fox? You said it's probably between one of them.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite bar, like a favorite 16 from a female rapper?
No, not off the top because my memory is so trash.
Do you have a favorite album from a female rapper? That's the one.
Yeah.
That'll help you. Favorite album. Like for me, it was Hardcore.
It would probably be Kim, right? It's Kim or Foxy. Because I love Missy's projects, her singles. It would have to probably be Hardcore, right? That was like the one I listened to the most, like by far.
Was it?
By far.
Who's Pinky?
Oh man.
That's how many. Who is Pinky? Tell me who Pinky is.
This is part of the trivia? That's so hilarious.
Yes, who's Pinky?
Alright, man.
I've done my research.
Listen.
I've heard Joey say it a few times.
Bro, because Joe
I said, he talking about the porn star? Why is he calling her the porn star?
Nothing on the internet. That's the problem. Okay, so look, Pinky is a name that my mom calls me and people in Grenada. Like, not a single person in America has called me Pinky. But Joe Budden, being the super sleuth that he is, there's an interview I did in Grenada a few years back for this local TV station where they had me on and they were just sort of like asking me about my work. And I think the title was Nadeska, Pinky, Alexis. Just my good luck that Joe happened to see this. And that's why he's calling me Pinky. And everyone's like, where the fuck did he come up with this name? But like, only my mom now in my adult life calls me that. Like when she really likes me, I'm like, I'm Pinks or like Pinkalinks. It's super corny, but
Your mom
my mom called me that.
that.
So it's just like my mom and Joe Budden who call me that.
Your mom and Joe.
Because
How
that makes
dare
a lot
Joe
of
be? That makes
He
him
is
so
that
mad.
guy. He is
I
that
love
guy.
that. He is like your brother.
He really is.
He really
yeah.
spoke highly of you on my show. So I saw the interview with you in Grenada with the woman out there, and I think she
Oh, you
was
saw
calling-
it too?
Yes, that's the.
See, you showed Joe Biden this interview.
I totally did
It was
not.
you, wasn't
I totally
it?
did not. No, I did did, but I tried to get on my journalist shit. You know what I mean? Research what was out there, what I could find.
That's so
which I'm so excited about this because
I-
now I didn't get to see this.
I never went back and watched it because I'm always so embarrassed to like.
You look great. You're so cute.
watch
You're so
myself on
like
it.
beautiful.
Okay. So it is a Super Duper Fly album.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the name of the album. Okay. I know that was the name of the
but my
record.
memory is just so bad. Yeah. Jesus.
And you would say that's your favorite album?
It's a great album, yeah.
So Pinky is because it's just a girly color and she just called
No,
it
just
Pinky
because
that's
West Indians are so ridiculous. Or like nicknames
Skin
are
color?
like, yeah. Because
Got it.
I was for a black kid, I was super pink. So these jokes were like, of course, let's just call her Pinky. It's so stupid. But then there's like, there would be a dude in like my little village that would be super lit, and they'll call him Blackie. It's either it's extremely literal or they go complete opposite. It makes really no sense. And so I don't think when I moved to America at that point, anyone really knew my name was Nadeska in Grenada. People didn't call me that.
They called you Pinky?
Don't call me Pinky. All of my family in Grenada still calls me Pinky.
And Joe.
Yeah, and Joe. All of my family and
I don't
Joe.
want to call you Pinky. I like Nadeska.
All the people just call me Deska. That's the shortest
Oh, really?
version, but he hasn't gotten that far yet. He'll come up with everything besides that. Silly. So that's the origin of Pinky.
Love that. Okay, so when it's all said and done, what do you want people to take away from this interview? Because I don't want to say how would you want to be remembered. I don't like that question. I feel like that's fitting when you're like 30 years down.
Yeah, I mean, what would I like them to take away? One, I'm pretty chill, I think. I'm not as stuck up as I seem on the show, and so if it comes off that way, I
She's drinking Grey Goose, you guys.
I'm much more of a whiskey girl, though, but
Got you next time.
whiskey and rum. I'll bring you a bottle. I didn't know we were drinking. I would have brought you a bottle.
No, totally cool. I'll bring the gifts.
Okay.
You're my gifts.
Thank
You're my
you.
gifts.
Yeah, so what could they take away? Yeah, I mean, I've been in the industry for a long time, so I think a lot of people who have seen me for the first time on the show, like we said earlier, think I just fell out of the sky. No, I'm just terrible at my brand. Like, I know that's something that I need to work on next year. Being more present, having a presence outside of the show, whether that's blogging. I know Complex doesn't want me to pitch my own solo show, so hopefully that's something that I work on. Maybe I'll write my TV show. I know that I need to focus and grow, but I have been around. I do have a lot of experience. I learned from, you know, the legends like Sway, and you know, I hope my role on the show grows and people feel like they could get to know me a little bit better.
Well said. Alright, so I'm gonna end this like I do with every guest that come on the show. If you can, give me one word to describe the state that you're in right now. Not a phrase, not a sentence, but one word.
Are you ask such difficult questions at the interview? I was kidding. Okay. One word. Okay, I was hot earlier. I'm not hot anymore. I'm having a lot of fun, but that's too many words.
So I mean, just where you are in life right now. I mean, not based off this interview, but just everything. Just growing up in Grenada, living in Brooklyn, just getting into college and doing your media thing, and MTV, the magazine, like all of that. MTV News, Complex, everyday struggle. Now the world is seeing you. You have a magnifying glass on you because you're great at what you do. And regardless if people will see that now or later, you're here now. And I feel like you could only go further from where you are right now. So we're talking about here and now, though.
Yeah.
So where are you in life right now, if you could sum it up in one word? With everything taken into like consideration.
Well, a feeling, huh?
An adjective.
Adjective. Feeling.
Yes.
Nervous? No, I don't think that's the right word.
I mean, if it's fitting, run with it. But that's an interesting.
I don't think it's
interesting
nervous.
feeling.
It's
But yeah, give it a moment, give it a beat. I'm looking up in the air like I'm about to find it for you.
the thoughts of having like how do I
I'm gonna help you get used to these like confessional questions.
I know.
Like these one word answers you gotta give.
I'm so not used to it.
It's okay.
Because it's a mixture of feeling like blessed, like I've accomplished some things, but I know I'm so far from where I want to be. I'm feeling motivated. I'm feeling hella motivated. I have a lot of work to do. I know, and it's gonna be scary and it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really fucking difficult, but I'm very motivated. I'll say that about myself. I'm very ambitious. Nothing I do is ever good enough for me. I am my own worst critic, so motivated.
motivated. Love that, and you will only get better from here on out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Alright, you guys, that is a wrap for Women in Hip Hop Podcast. I would like to thank Nadeska,
aka Pinky.
aka Pinky. My words are running together. I would like to thank Nadeska for coming by tonight. Oh my God, we learned so much about you here on this episode. I know I did, and I hope my listeners and viewers on YouTube watching right now did as well. And I had a blast. And I would love you to come back again.
I would love to.
I would.
I'm sorry it took so long to schedule. You were very patient with me and my ridiculous schedule. You're amazing.
I'm cool. I'm one of those women that don't deal, like, I'm not with the fuckery. Like, I'm so cool. I'm like, it's fine. You got back to me a day later. But you know what's cool?
Yeah,
Because I really want you to be able to tell your story, because when you mentioned Akademiks being like a fan and speaking from a fan's perspective, even though I don't want to compare, but I will say that I always say this show is really me speaking from a fan's perspective. Mm-hmm. And the viewers, I want them to be able to get to know who I'm interviewing more, because I know they're fans as well, or if they're not, or indifferent or whatever, regardless of how you feel about my guests, you're going to learn something from them. So to interview you and for you to tell your story, I want to feel inspired as a fan, and I want the viewers to be inspired as well. And you did that today.
Awesome, thank you.
So thank you, and I would love to invite you back, and I would love to have you back. And that's it.
I would love to be back.
And that's it with Women in Hip Hop Podcast. I'm your girl Jazzy Bell. Check it out. Bye. Woo-hoo.
Bye.
Deuces.